Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp with yet another brew review, and today we are revisiting again a brewery, this time Sint-Gilles-Waas. We have talked about their bucket list series last week or a few videos ago, but today we are talking about one of their hazy IPAs, or they call it a misty IPA. Beautiful package, by the way. We are gonna talk about Dirty Talk, or as we say in Antwerp, volle klap. Dirty Talk is a misty IPA, a New England IPA, a hazy IPA, whatever you want to call it. A modern craft type IPA, and this is a collaboration with top chef Nick Bril, and Nick Bril has a sort of a rock and roll image, so that will come through in the packaging and in the text. Now I left the wrapper on because I'm a sucker for this kind of packaging, of marketing, but okay, so this is the first thing you see when you enter the store, and you see this on the shelves, and there's a lot of text on here. The only thing craft beer brewers love more than tasting is talking brews. By the way, I am having quite a hard time reading this because it's completely crooked and all, so. And when the Musketeers collaborate with a chef like Nick Bril, you get Dirty Talk. When this IPA looks you in the eye with its golden amber color, you'll be lost. Rye and wheat used in the malting evoke its misty appearance. Interesting. The outrageous amounts of Azacca, Amarillo, Citra and Nelson Sauvin hops will tantalize your taste buds. Side note here, this is after the Duvel Triple Hop Citra, but way before Nelson Sauvin was popular and cool. I think this is one of the first beers that I encountered that mentioned Nelson Sauvin, because I think they released this in 2023, 2022 maybe, 3, I don't know. And the cheeky addition of lemongrass brings out its fresh citric notes. So we have Citra, hops and lemongrass, and then that Nelson Sauvin. Now we have seen beers with lemongrass, I think in, was it the Tai Tai or Mama Pop? I think it was Tai Tai by Brewery Oedipus. I'll put a link up here. So very interesting. Dirty Talk is seductively balanced, hoppy but not too, naked and clean, tamed in bitters, exciting in citric notes, and a bomb in complexity. Be warned, Dirty Talk may turn your days into nights and your nights into misty memories. Now they do have a knack for marketing. Fun fact, this is a beer that I ever so often hand out to people, and for some reason very, very popular among women. Why do I hand this out? Not just to random women, of course, but to people in general, and mainly to people that are not like beer devotees. But this is a beer that does very well with cava or champagne drinking people, and women in particular. But it's been actually since it was released that I have tasted this. So, and if you were wondering why I'm ironing this wrapper, I actually have a binder in which I keep my old wrappers, because that is a very fun thing, an interesting thing to do. Okay, so back to the packaging, because we've talked about the wrapper, but of course this also has a bottle, a label, all kinds of things. They went for a matte black label with mirrored or silver text on it. So of course when moving this around, the color pattern in this silver reflection is exactly this. So very 70s, very disco. Dirty Talk, very shattered. What do they say on the bottle? Blonde beer re-fermented in the bottle, serve at 5 to 8 degrees. This one is at 6, so perfect. Contains water, barley malt, hops and yeast. So they do give us a lot more info on the wrapper than on the bottle. This is a 6.5% ABV New England IPA. Yeah, I'm curious. It's been way too long. I actually don't even remember how it tastes. Disclaimer, Dirty Talk has its own dedicated glass. Actually, it is a Teku glass, so it is this shape with the Dirty Talk logo on it. However, I don't have a Dirty Talk glass, so I was thinking of taking the Troubadour glass by the Musketeers, but actually, why not just take the right glass just from the wrong brewery? So let's have this in a Teku glass. As always, Musketeers bottle cap. They already gave it away on the wrapper. So this is a amber blonde. And there is quite a lot of sediment, so I'm not gonna add that last centimeter. Actually, I used to have a teacher who had been a bar owner for about 30 years, and he always said even if customers wanted this last centimeter, this last half inch of beer with the yeast and the sediment in there, he just put the bottle down and said, that's your choice, and they could do it themselves. But he would never add that to a glass. I'm one of those people that likes it, but I have to admit that he's right. It is your choice. Okay. Indeed, slightly amber colored. I would call this copper gold, light amber, somewhere in between. Or not necessarily gold, it's more coppery orange, amber-ish. Some nice yellowish beige foam, quite dense, mixed density. We have the classic tiny bubbles on the bottom and some larger bubbles on the top, but nonetheless a beautiful head of foam, very creamy on top. Quite a bit of carbonation. Yeah, this is a hop bomb for sure. I think on the website they called it an indecent amount of hop, but the aroma shows. I must say that I don't get those distinct aromas from Nelson Sauvin or Citra, but of course we do have a bunch of hops working together, but also fighting for attention. Imagine having 4 children. It's very hard to single out 1 or 2. They all constantly fight for attention, and it just becomes a mishmash. Although we have Nelson Sauvin Mosaic, I believe. What did they say here? Oh no, not Mosaic. Azacca and Amarillo, Citra and Nelson Sauvin. But I have this idea that I mainly get the Azacca and Amarillo because I do get some tropical fruit, I do get some bitterness, but I am not singling out that citrus or that vinous character from the other two, which in itself I find very nice. Because oftentimes brewers, but these are veterans, but mainly young brewers, new brewers, that want to prove something in some way, overuse hops like Citra, and it just becomes a citrus bomb, which is not necessarily bad, but it pushes away the other hops, and hops are very, very expensive in use, so you have to use them cautiously. You don't want to overpay for a minimum of flavor, or you don't want to add hundreds of euros in hops to not taste them. And I have the idea that this worked out pretty good, just from the aroma alone. Yeah, quite fruity as well. Let's have a taste. Cheers. Oh yeah. It may not look as a classic amber beer, but my god, it does taste like it. First thing that I thought of was, wow, pale ale, and not necessarily IPA, but the initial flavor is a very classic pale ale, and after that initial flavor, the hops kick in. It is roasty, it is dry. I do get why they call it an amber. It is quite carbonated, even though it doesn't show in the glass. It is quite malty. It has that roasty rye. The entire variety of malts, of grains, is palpable, and at the same time, those hops kick in, and they are fighting for attention, but they are also all present, very balanced. First thing you get is that Amarillo, that Azacca, that tropical fruit, that bitterness. Very mellow. So after everything I just said, it settles down, it mellows out, and then you get that citra, that citrusy green lime zest flavor, but just subtly. And then the Nelson Sauvin just rounds it all up. At first, when I saw these 4 hops, I thought, a bit much, no? And now that I'm tasting it, oh my, I see why they went for these 4 hops. Just a wild guess here, splash in the water. I think they may have started out with the Citra and the Nelson Sauvin, and then you get this also interesting but very strong beer. I believe like we had the Godal, the J de Godal Millésime 2025 a few videos ago. I'll again put a link up here. But by adding this Azacca, this mosaic... Am I wrong again? Yeah, I always say mosaic instead of Amarillo. And I've worked with both for so much that I actually oftentimes change them up. No, so this Amarillo, this Azacca, is a genius move adding them, because you get that fruity component, you mellow out the other two, and adding those fruity, those tropical components, yeah, genius, works like a charm. And I do get why this is a hit with cava drinkers, with champagne drinkers, with white wine drinkers, because not only the Nelson Sauvin, but also it has a slight acidity in the back of the throat. It tingles on the glands, just like a dry white wine would. So that is a very interesting comparison. And the aftertaste is quite interesting as well. Because as usual, that is a mellow, soft, velvety version of the beer. So we get those roasty malt notes, but also a tiny hint of like some nuts, and then the velvety bitter hops, with just that smooth edge of it's more like the citrus zest. So I would say a bit more citra in the after flavor, and that Nelson Sauvin also a tiny bit, but again very balanced, very worked out. And of course we are talking about the Musketeers, who are very experimental but very good brewers, dedicated brewers, somewhere in between traditional and craft. And then you add Nick Bril, a top chef in the mix, whose main job is combining existing flavors into exciting dishes. And while warming up a bit, it also releases some spicy components. So for some reason I get some light peppery flavor as well. Okay, I am enthusiastic. So how should I score this beer? I would say an easy 3.75. I can only recommend you guys to drink this as fresh as possible to get the most out of the hops, because as we all know, and if you didn't, you do now, over time these alpha acids, these aromas from the hops pretty much break down, they disintegrate, and they just become bitter. So drink your IPAs as fresh as possible, and you'll get the most out of them. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support this channel, share a video or visit the Patreon page. If you want to see more, I upload 3 times a week, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, if all goes well. So subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you'll get notified whenever I do upload something. If you have any questions, suggestions, whatever, leave them down in the comments. And if you like this video in particular, just hit that thumbs up and let me know. Until the next one, cheers!